County Board of Equalization meeting. Today is Tuesday, March 19, 2024. It's 3:00 p.m. A copy of the notice of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is located on the county board wall and north wall. Today we have present Commissioners Kelly, Klug, Warren, Mixon, and Burmeister, along with our County Administrator Bonnie Moore and our County Clerk Deb Hotaling. We also have our County Assessor Dan Pittman and our County Treasurer Jeff Meixel. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 4 is the consent equalization agenda. Would anyone like to see any items removed from the consent agenda or a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Warren, second by Commissioner Klug. Any discussion? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
Item 5.1 is minutes, March 12, 2024. Deb Hotaling, Clerk Register of Deeds.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Warren, second by Commissioner Klug. Any discussion? Please vote.
Ayes 4, abstain, Mixon, motion carried.
Item 5.2 is public hearing and action tabled from March 12, 2024. Recommendation of denial of 4 tax exemption applications, Form 451, for tax exemptions on real and personal property owned by qualifying organizations. A, Emmanuel Retirement Communities 011572150. B, Emmanuel Retirement Communities 010508147. C, Emmanuel Retirement Communities 011334940. And D, Emmanuel Trinity Village Terrace 011357043 PP. There's been a request that this item be tabled to March 26th. I'll make a motion to table. Burmeister, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Klug. Any discussion?
Yeah, I read the the material that the assessor sent to us about what is required to be a nonprofit organization, and they clearly fit the need. So in a way, I feel bad to table this just to make those guys come in when I'm only going to vote to approve the exemption next week anyways. I don't know if any of you had the chance to read it, but it's pretty clear that they are tax exempt, and that as a Board of Equalization, we should follow the statute and approve their exemption. Still willing to do it, but I don't really feel like we should drag them in here and pay a lawyer or whatever else they got to do to come explain to us what's purely in statute today as an exempted organization. Now, there's some questions that it raises for another day about, well, what's the difference between them and a hospital, et cetera, and things like that. But I think it was clear on the information that was sent to us that they're exempt.
I hear your concerns, Commissioner Kelly. I guess for me personally, they requested the tabling, which is why I made the motion.
Yeah,
I'd like to
and I
give
know
them the
they did, but
opportunity.
that was so they could bring somebody in to talk to us about it. And again, if all I'm going to do is turn around, I'm fine if you want to table it, but I just think it's a disservice to them to bring them in here and ask them to defend something that I'm going to vote for anyways. So I guess just in that spirit, I would make an amended motion not to table and to make a motion to approve the exemption.
I think maybe we better vote on the motion to table first and
Okay.
then make a different motion, just because I don't know how to do
Well,
what you just
how
asked.
can I amend it if it passes then?
You can't.
No, wait, I don't think I can. Once we pass a table, then what's...
Then it's tabled, yeah. I mean, you can
Okay.
only do the other motion in the event that that the motion to table doesn't pass.
Doesn't pass.
Correct.
Okay, but then what you're telling me is I gotta hope that the vote goes one way before I can suggest to the board take a different action on this?
Well, I think you're suggesting to the board right now not to table, so, then it's just up to them whether they want to table it or not. And then if they don't table, you can make the other motion. Annie, jump in here if I'm missing anything.
Well, I would have made the motion, but you guys jumped in and before I could even amend it. So that's all. That doesn't make sense to me. Maybe I'm wrong. I didn't go to law school, but.
No, but I read Robert's rules, and it still can be an amended motion.
You can amend the motion, but
And
what it
I'm not going to
appears,
push that, and I'm not going to argue it, but it could be an amended motion, but I'm going to vote no on this.
Okay, so
Well, and I'm not trying to be unreasonable. I'm trying to be fair to Emmanuel. They're clearly an exempt organization based on the information provided by, I think it was from the assessor's office. I don't remember who sent it to us, but it was pretty clear. We got a whole bunch of, or it's actually in the agenda, I think. The stuff that was in the agenda, it gives you all the law and the statute and says that they're an exempt organization based on the way they're structured. So to table it, it'd be fine, but then to have them come in and explain to us the law, basically, would be, I think, a colossal waste of their time and this board's time.
Is there a question on this one, Annie, or did the treasurer want to give some insight, or?
the initial application information that was submitted was targeted to the whole entity instead of the specific location with additional information. That's what we had tabled for originally, was to get that additional information. So the board has sufficient information now to make the determination. That's fine. The motion that is currently up is to table. We could amend it to table to a different date, but the amendment can't be to undo the motion and do something else. So if the board is inclined to not table and to take action today, then I would suggest voting on the motion to table and not passing the motion to table, if that is what the board wants to do, and then submitting another motion on action.
Can we retract our motion in second?
Yes.
I'll withdraw.
Same here.
Go ahead and make your motion, Don.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the exemption for manual retirement communities A, B, C, and D.
Second.
Motion to approve the exemption made by Commissioner Kelly, seconded by Commissioner Klug.
Commissioner Burmeister, Mr. Pittman has mentioned he would like to make sure that's clarified. This is a 40% exemption. It's partial because the whole property is not exempt.
Got it. Perfect. So the motion is to approve the partial exemption.
Whatever she said.
Did we cover it, Dan? Pittman? Did we cover the concern?
indeed.
Okay.
What's that mean?
Any discussion?
Does that mean safe? No.
Please vote.
What's a public hearing?
Oh, it is, you're right. It's been a long day. Would anyone like to be heard on this item? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. And any discussion?
Just on voting, mine still shows,
Jim, I've typed it in down below, so you'll have the right motion.
So the motion is to approve the 40% exemption
Right.
on all 4 entities. Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
Item 5.3 is motor vehicle exemption applications, recommended denial to Jeff Meixel, Treasurer.
Afternoon, Commissioners. Jeff Meixel, I'm your County Treasurer. In the course of my duties, I have the honor of approving or denying Form 457, which is an application for exemption of motor vehicle taxes by qualifying nonprofit organizations. All good, almost all the time. The good thing about this is there are no hard and fast guidelines on approval or disapproval of any vehicles people apply to exempt. That's good, because we get to apply judgment to that. That's bad, because we don't have a checklist that we can say, yep, it's good, or nope, it's bad. So I'm applying judgment to this situation. We have 2 vehicles in question, and let me say there's nothing personal about this, and I'm not questioning the legitimacy of the foundation or the nonprofit in question. This is purely my judgment of the suitability of the vehicles in question. And when we approve these exemptions, we are effectively asking the taxpayers of the county to subsidize the taxes that are being waived on this. So this falls on the citizens too. So I'm here as a representative of them, and all I'm asking is a fair hearing of the two vehicles in question. Questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So, if you have a vehicle that's parked at your charitable location, like if you're, let's just say, since we're talking about a religious type thing at a church, and that vehicle is only used for church activities that support their nonprofit status, that's one thing, right? But if a vehicle's parked at a chaplain's or a minister's home, and yeah, he drives it, you know, when he does some of his work, but he also drives it to Costco, and you know, he drives it to the movie theater, or he drives it, then none of it would be tax exempt, right? Or is it based on the amount of miles driven annually, and you have to provide documentation to warrant the exemption?
That's a fair and reasonable question. The only guidance we have on this is on the application is, are the motor vehicles used exclusively as indicated? Yes or no? And then they're supposed to indicate by percentage of use, and everyone says 100%.
Well, it would almost be impossible to exclusively use a vehicle parked at your home of residence for one purpose and one purpose only. It would be almost impossible.
That, sir, is a valid point.
Because even if I was doing work on behalf of my ministry and I took a side trip, you know, to go get, you know, to pick up a grocery item or stop and visit a friend or whatever, then it's no longer charitable, correct?
I think that's a valid micro point, but if we step back a second and apply a reasonable person, I'm no lawyer either, a viewpoint to it, yeah, but can you go to Costco to get stuff? Sure. Is the intent and the overwhelmingly primary purpose of that vehicle to be in support of the nonprofit? That should be the yes.
But I think the IRS puts out guidance if you want to, for instance, for the business use of a vehicle, if you wanted to write off the taxes, you would have to document your mileage, your trips, your whereabouts that were strictly business and separate those from your personal things, I believe, to get that. If you were audited, you would be asked to produce those kind of records. So when somebody comes in and applies for a tax exempt status on a vehicle, there's no such requirement, correct?
That's correct.
So we just got to look at them and go, yeah.
And that's fine.
Well, that is fine, but the
that
problem
freedom.
is it's impossible to be consistent with it because every individual is going to treat it differently. So I just think it's a really slippery slope here. And if you're using a vehicle even 1% of the time for personal use, it shouldn't be tax exempt. That's just me. Now, I wouldn't mind making 99% of it tax exempt if you came up here and showed me the records that validated that, yeah, this is all nonprofit. But I don't think anybody does that, so.
Those are fair points, and those are policy issues that if we care to, we need to get those codified.
I mean, because think about it. When I drive my car to church and go to service 52 times a year, or how, you know, some people go more than that. Some people go a lot less. Does that make it charitable? Well, I don't know. I could make that argument. I could play the devil's advocate here. You know, I go visit a sick friend in the hospital. I could make that argument. I'm going to go minister him. But I'm not, and I don't. And so that's why I think it's a slippery slope.
You're correct.
Annie, what's the statutory guidance on that issue?
Statutory guidance is that you cannot allow a partial exemption on a vehicle. Incidental use is allowed. For example, if you're making a charitable delivery and you swing through a Starbucks drive-through or anything like that, that's incidental use. if you're using the vehicle for things to do personal errands, specifically just for personal errands or things like that, that's not incidental use, that would be personal use.
Okay. Any other questions for Annie or Jeff? Mr. Mills, did you want to be heard on this application?
Yes, please.
You'd state your name for the record, spell your last name again, please.
I'm Wayne Mills, MILLS. And these are the exempt plates that were approved by this board for a Toyota Corolla. The timing chain wore out. And because of the way the engine was made, it would cost more to replace it than it was worth. So I took it in and got it replaced on another one. I don't know whether or not these plates could be assigned to that one or if new ones had to be issued, but gosh, I'm confused as to why a worn out timing chain would make a previously exempt vehicle no longer exempt. To address your concerns, it is owned by a nonprofit, and so if it is used for a personal event, then it has to be leased, and you have to pay mileage back to the corporation for that. To be perfectly honest with you, we do both shopping at the same time, and so if we go to Walmart and buy things for food for people that we're buying for charity, and also buy some for ourselves, then I don't count that mileage. But yeah, this is owned by the church, it's not owned by me, and so if I use it for some personal reason, like I took it on a vacation or something, we'd have to pay mileage and lease it out and keep records for that back to the charity, because we don't own it.
Hence is the problem. It's got to be 100% according to the statute. So that, and I understand your situation here. I had a vehicle provided at one point from a tax exempt organization. I can't use it for any personal. It stayed at the location of the nonprofit, and I could drive my personal car there and then drive it for nonprofit uses, but I couldn't use it for personal uses, even if I reimbursed it. Now, when it's a personal vehicle leased by me, or even it's a business vehicle that's provided for my use, a lot of corporations will say, you reimburse us for your personal miles, but that's not what the statute, the way I'm familiar with it, the statute in regards to a nonprofit vehicle. That's why they went away from nonprofit plates in the organization I was connected with.
Well, I guess the other thing that I would suggest about this is that this is the more reliable of our two cars, and I am required to have a reliable car in order to get to the hospital, in order to do my ministerial work. And so if one of them was not going to be allowed, I think it would be better if it was the older, less expensive one, although they're both owned by the church. Like I said, we have the exempt plates. Both the cars were approved. The information on the applications haven't changed. The only thing that happened was a timing chain wore out. And so I would ask that it be approved like the last one was, because it's used for the same reasons.
On the last applications for exemption, did you fill out that it was 80% used for the nonprofit?
Are the motor vehicles used exclusively as indicated? Yes. Transportation for religious services, including hospital chaplaincy. So that's how I figured it out. That's how I filled it out, and that's how this car, the Countryman, is being used exclusively for charitable purposes.
And is this car used 100% for charitable
Yes,
purposes?
this car is used 100% for charitable purposes.
So this is not the one you were talking about when you said if you were going to take it on a vacation, you had to reimburse.
We would take the other car because it gets better gas mileage. It's the one we would take. But anyway, and it's less expensive. It's a slightly older car, and it's the one that we would use for personal purposes if we had a separate personal use. This car is only used for charitable purposes. The car that I'm asking to be classified as exempt at this hearing.
So you have two cars,
I do.
and one of them you pay taxes on and one you don't.
No, they're both owned by the church, and they're both current. And the one is currently exempt. The other one died, and so we traded it in on another one, and we're trying to get that one approved as the other one was.
So did you go to the doctor last year?
Did I go to the doctor last year?
Yeah, I
Yes.
mean, Okay, so how is that charitable use?
That probably is personal use, but I didn't go in the newer car. I went in the older car.
Now I mean, now you're splitting hairs here. I mean, you got two cars, right?
Yes, sir.
And they were both tax exempt, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you used them for personal, at least at one or both of them at different times for personal reasons,
I
correct?
sometimes used one for a personal reason. Yes, sir.
Okay, so again, for me, if that vehicle was parked at the location of your nonprofit entity, and you drove there and used it, I wouldn't have any problem with it. But when you're using it for personal use, you're no different than me in that regard. I mean, I do a lot of charitable stuff too. It's not stuff I do all the time, but, and I certainly wouldn't go in and demand an exemption for that because it's clear that I'm not using it 100% of the time as the statute kind of says you're supposed to for charitable work. So my advice to you is if this doesn't get exempted is you need to set one at your location and use it exclusively, that one and that one only for, and use your other one for your personal stuff, and everybody has personal stuff they need to attend to.
Well, it's the same location, but hearing what you're saying, I would ask that the application that's before you be approved as the newer car with the greater value, and the other car not be renewed when it comes up, and that's the one that will be exclusively used. Well, that's not exclusively. That's the only one that will be used for joint purposes. It's kind of hard to frame that sentence. But the one that I'm asking to be approved now is not used for me to go to the doctor with. It's exclusively used for charitable purposes because it's the more reliable car.
And again, I'm sure you're a man of your word, but that's hard to believe.
That's my application.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Mills?
I have one. I'm confused on who owns the car. It says on the application, the organization is Mills Eternal Family Trust, and it says name and owner of property. Does that mean you're William and Kathleen Mills? So whose name is on the title of the vehicles?
Thank you so much for asking. This vehicle that I'm applying to have exempt is owned by the Mills Eternal Family Trust, Inc., which is a Nebraska nonprofit religious organization and a 501c3. So
Okay.
it's owned exclusively by the religious organization.
The other car.
Is also owned exclusively by the religious organization.
Okay. Okay.
And I guess maybe this would be a Jeff question. So that's raised now the question. It says below, it says name of owners of the property. And that then should also say Mills Eternal Family Trust.
Registration should match. Whether it's foundation/charity or personal use, it should both be the same.
Okay, all right. So legal side, is that an issue? Should this be resubmitted?
Technically, the application should be filled out correctly so that the property owner that's actually on the title is listed. We kind of had this discussion as far as ownership, though, regarding the exemption applications for the real property. And ownership can be vested in one individual that is a central part of the organization. We had that with Asha's House and I think Paws R Us. So I don't see an issue per se just with that.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Mills? Okay. Anyone else want to be heard on this matter? Okay. We have these two applications in the same item, so we'll go on to Synergy Integrative Foundation, Inc. Do you want to give us, and I guess we'll vote on these together, right? Because, okay. Well, Jeff, did you want to give us a background on Synergy?
I don't have a whole lot of background specifically on Synergy Integrative Foundation. Did a web search, came up as a health facility out on West Dodge area. So I don't have information on the foundation itself. Don't much care because this is motor vehicle specific. But on that point, this is a 2022 AMG Mercedes. Brand new, 130,000, 2 years old. The gentleman purchased it for 80,000. I question the suitability of that type vehicle for a nonprofit use. Great car. I would love to have it good on him. But asking the taxpayers to subsidize his registration fees, I can't recommend that. And again, nothing personal, nothing about the foundation, just about the vehicle suitability.
Did he go into any additional detail other than conducted, or to conduct charitable work? Is that as much detail as we have? Used to attend fundraising events.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You have the form in front of you?
Yeah, that's the full detail that we have on it?
That's the detail.
Okay, thank you.
I had a brief interaction with him here 2 weeks ago. He interacts with a lot of high-end donors, needs a vehicle to represent properly. That was and I don't want to speak for him, but that was the gist of his argument for that kind of vehicle, which I understand. I don't think John Q. taxpayers should be covering it.
So, Mr. Mills, I have another question for you. So what you stated, or what you're sort of asking for the Board of Equalization to consider, is that you have two vehicles right now that are both exempt, and you're willing to let one go non-exempt if we'll approve this one.
Right now, I have two vehicles one is currently approved as exempt, the other one we're applying for, that's replacing one that was exempt.
Yes.
If the board is going to find that one of them should not be exempt, I think I am asking that it be the less valuable one. Yes,
Well,
sir.
and again, in your own words, you said you do use either one of these vehicles at different times for personal reasons.
No, I said that the more valuable vehicle I will use exclusively because I need reliable transportation to get to the hospital in the middle of the night.
So your other vehicle's not reliable?
No, it's really not.
Not.
In fact, right now, the tire's blown out
So
on it.
what is that vehicle?
Pardon?
What is that vehicle?
Oh, okay. They're both parked at the parsonage, which
No,
is
I mean,
the-
what kind, what year, make,
Oh,
and
I'm sorry.
model?
Okay, so one is a 2015 Ford Escape, and one is a 2022 Countryman,
So a 2015 is not reliable? Is that what you're telling me?
except for the tire that's blown out currently. I mean,
Okay, so for me personally,
Mm-hmm.
look, I'm sure, I said this twice, so I'll say it one more time. I'm sure you're a man of your word. However, if you are willing to go into the treasurer's office and make that second 2015 vehicle non-exempt and come back and present this request to me again, then I think I could give it favorable consideration, because then I would know that you've got one personal vehicle and you've got one charitable vehicle, and you know the difference between them, right? Does that make sense?
Okay, but again, now there's three vehicles.
No, there's two.
There's three. He stated he has one that's already exempt, and it's 2015. And then here's
The
Form
2022.
457 that says it's a mini model 2022 Cooper wagon,
that's the second one that I'm
Okay.
asking for now.
right? And then here's the third one is the Mercedes.
No, that's
No,
a
that's a
different.
That's a different,
And actually, I'm glad you
I'm
bring
sorry.
that up, because is it possible to bifurcate these two issues and have the board vote separately?
yeah, I think it is, isn't it, Chair?
Yeah,
Person?
we'll figure that out. Let's,
I would
so,
ask that these questions be bifurcated and voted on separately.
yeah, so,
But again, I'm not looking backwards today. I'm looking forward, okay? And I'm trying to find a way to help you in your charitable activities. But when you come up here and tell us that you use these for because you have to tell us that, because it's true.
Of course.
I want to help you, and I don't care which one you pick to be your charitable vehicle, but there's no way I can approve having a second one exempted today, given what you've testified in front of us. Now, if you're willing to go, take one of them off exempt status and put them on the tax rolls, and then come back and show us that documentation, I think you'd get a lot better response, at least from
You
me.
did vote to approve two of them the last time I was here.
Yeah, I know I did, but I didn't have all this detail. I don't remember you coming before me asking for an
No,
exemption.
actually, they were both recommended to be approved.
Yeah.
And the only thing I've been here before is the property, not
Yeah,
for the
no, I
cars.
get
This is
it.
my first
I get
time.
it. I get it. We're looking forward though, not backwards, right?
So, Mr. Mills, let me ask you a question. You have two cars right now,
Mm-hmm. Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, ma'am.
One that is a car that the timing belt's broken that doesn't work, right?
One is what?
One vehicle has the timing chain broken and
No,
it's-
I traded that in,
that, okay, so you've got two cars, two that operate.
mostly. Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay. The 2015, is that operable? Does it run?
Right now, it has a bad tire, but as soon as I replace that tire, it will be. Yes, ma'am. I have two operable vehicles. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Mills? Okay. Why don't we can we separate, Deb, can you do
Yeah,
that?
you can. So is the first one you're going to do is Mills?
Yes.
And are you going, what's the,
So I'd like to make a motion to table the Mills request for 1 week.
okay. And what's the date for the 26th? Don, 3/26, is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, does that work for you, Mr. Mills?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Second.
Motion to table by Commissioner Kelly, second by Commissioner Klug. Any discussion? Please vote.
I'm an A,
Are you an A?
yes,
I'll put it in for you.
thank you.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carries.
Okay, so we will go back to Synergy. Is there anyone here, is there anyone here on behalf of Synergy that would like to be heard? Okay, seeing none, does anybody have any questions with regard to Synergy?
Angie, what car is for Synergy then?
I need
The
to start
Mercedes.
The Mercedes, okay, thank you.
Up here, maybe.
Anyone want to make a motion for the Synergy?
I'll make a motion to approve the denial.
I'll second
Let me
it.
rephrase that. I'll make a motion to deny.
I'll second it.
Motion to deny the exemption by Commissioner Klug, second by Commissioner Kelly. Any discussion?
Dave, can you, okay, there you go. All right, hold on.
Please vote when you're able.
Well, I don't have a second. Is Don seconding?
Yes.
All right, hold on. Okay, please vote.
Yes.
Gotcha. And Mr. Warren,
I voted against.
pardon?
I voted against.
I don't have it. All right, let me put it in. Okay, Hayes 4, nays Warren.
All agenda items having been addressed as published, the Board of Equalization is adjourned. We'll reset for the Board of Commissioners. Let me know when you're ready, Deb.
It's done.
Okay, we're good.
Welcome to the Sarpy County Board of
Kelly.
Commissioners meeting. Today is Tuesday, March 19, 2024. It's 3:33 PM. We have present today Commissioners Kelly, Klug, Warren, Mixon, Burmeister, along with our County Administrator Bonnie Moore and our County Clerk Deb Hotelling. We'll start with Commissioner Administrator announcements and comments, starting with Gary Mixon.
None.
No comments.
No comment, thank you.
Bonnie?
No comment.
Okay, we'll move on to the consent commissioners agenda. Would anyone like any items removed from the consent agenda or a motion to approve if not?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Klug, second by Commissioner Warren. Any discussion? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
Item 5.1 is minutes, March 12, 2024. Deb Hotelling, Clerk Register of Deeds.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Klug, second by
Second.
Commissioner Warren. Any discussion? Please vote.
Ayes 4, abstain, Mixon.
Item 5.2 is Resolution 2024-077, accept recommendation of the county engineer and fix the date of public hearing for the possible vacation of various right-of-ways within the Connect Sarpy project area. Kayla Hathcote, Deputy County Attorney.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. If you'll remember, in January, I brought an application before the board to vacate some right-of-way in the Connect Sarpy area so we can sell that to some neighboring developments potentially. The first step in that process is to get a road study done by the county engineer's office. We have received that study. Included in your materials is his recommendation. And so the resolution before you today is just to set this for public hearing out 4 weeks to allow for appropriate notification to neighboring communities. And then we'll have that public hearing, and after that, then we'll actually make a resolution to vacate those properties. Any questions for me?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Klug, second by Commissioner Warren. Any discussion? Please vote.
Yeas 5, nays none, motion carries.
Item 5.3 is Resolution 2024-081, interlocal cooperation agreement with Sanitary Improvement District SID 372, Shadow Creek, and Sanitary Improvement District SID 245, Summit Ridge, for improvements to 90th Street from Reed Street to Schramm Road. Scott Bovick, Deputy Administrator.
This is an interlocal agreement between these two SIDs, 90th Street to improve it to 2 lanes south of Schramm Road. On the map that I have in your packet and hopefully up on the overhead here, just does give you a layout of the road projects that we've been involved in, just starting east to west. 84th Street, which is light blue, that was a project that was federally funded, and so the county's only cost was 10% of a portion of that road that went down to Cape Hart Road. That's a 3-lane road, so the county had very limited expense there. To the west, the orange line is the project that we're talking about today. The black line to the west is 96th Street. When those two SIDs went in there years ago, in the early 2000s, we told them we would not participate, that they would be on their own. We just contributed $100,000 to them and told them they needed to pursue that on their own. And then the red line to the north, 90th Street north of Schramm, is the county did participate in that back in 2002 to open up that area to the south of 374 development. We participated with those two SIDs. And then the dark blue line that runs east and west on Schramm, that's actually in Papillion city limits. So in the last 5 years, the city of Papillion paid to pave that road, improve it to, it's striped as 3 lanes, but I think it can go to 4 lanes when that traffic requires it. So SID 245 is Summit Ridge. That's a development that's been there for some time, has about 500 lots and $145 million in existing valuation. And so Shadow Creek is the development that's coming in that would like to be the lead in extending 90th Street to the south, and we project, they've indicated that they're going to do about 353 lots. It includes some affordable housing, 4plexes and 8plexes, and that ultimate valuation would be about $150 million. We get involved sometimes in these projects because the future development to the north will be a gap because SID 372 has to go further to the south of that. And so in working with these developments, they requested county participation. We said we would only participate on portions of the road where we can be 100% reimbursed. We can recapture that money from future development, and that was the best we could do. The total project cost is $3.2 million. Our initial investment is estimated to be about $1.2 million, and again, 100% of that is reimbursable when those other properties adjacent to the Shadow Creek development develop. That, I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Questions for Scott?
Scott, where's the Papillion city limits at this time?
Papillion city limits is Schramm Road and then north.
Okay.
So all of Schramm Road is in Papillion city limits in that area.
So when you say the 1.2 million is going to be reimbursed by the developers and the city?
By the developers. And so the city will assist us when this property here comes in, and when this property here comes in, the city will make sure that as part of their subdivision agreement, they'll require that development to pay the cost associated with that property back to the county. And Papillion and the other communities have been helpful in not allowing those developments to proceed or get final plat approval until the county's made whole. So they partner with us on
Okay,
that.
so that area to the south where it says proposed contribution, that parcel right there, that's 160 acres?
Yes.
Does that have any future development planned currently?
Not currently, but it will. And that will, the road, you can see that little stretch of road, that'll allow that development to occur. But I think that the agency sewer goes this way, Commissioner, and I think this area can sewer to the north. You can kind of see those ridge lines through there. That falls to the north,
So-
but that falls to the south.
Yeah, so everything north of that little draw goes to the Papio watershed, and that little corner in the southwest goes to the Sarpy.
Yep, to
Okay,
the sewer
gotcha.
agency's jurisdiction, yep.
All right, thanks.
So, Scott, how much farther? Reed Street must be the southern point right there. How much farther does that go to Capehart Road? And then is that a draw there in a creek, or is that a rail? What is that?
It's
Looks
an
like
abandoned railroad line that runs through there. And so this development actually comes down, you don't see the plat. There's no development yet on this side. And so we're stopping there because, future development may decide to transition that somehow. Or they might be able to get that property and grade it to match their development.
Yeah, that line runs all the way. You get down to 96, it goes under a bridge called Beer Bridge, which was pretty famous back in the day.
Back in the day.
Yeah, the deputies used to patrol it pretty routinely. I've been told.
So, okay, I was just looking at it from, as this will extend and as things will develop. The track's still there?
No,
No? Okay.
but the bridge is.
You still hanging out there, Don?
No, just pointed out for historical references.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Warren, second by Commissioner Klug. Any discussion? Please vote.
Okay.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carries.
All agenda items having been addressed as published, the Board of Commissioners is adjourned. We'll reset for the Board of Corrections. Welcome to the Sarpy County Board of Corrections meeting. Today is Tuesday, March 19, 2024. It's 3:42 p.m. We have present today Commissioners Kelly, Klug, Warren, Mixon, and Burmeister, along with our County Administrator Bonnie Moore and our County Clerk Deb Hotelling. We'll start with item 3.1, the minutes, January 23 of 2024. Deb Hotelling, Clerk Register of Deeds.
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve by Commissioner Klug, second by
I'll second it.
Commissioner Warren. Any discussion?
Was everyone here for that?
Yes.
Okay.
Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carries.
All agenda items having been addressed as published, the Board of Corrections is adjourned.